Now, I'd been asked to run through a list of all of the symptoms for ME, and I think this is largely driven from kind of making it accessible and aware for the family and extended members in the inner circle, really, of people who are suffering from ME. So I just want to take you through some of the core symptoms, the physical and the mental, and kind of explain a little bit about how that really feels. So the main kind of five things are persistent fatigue. So it doesn't matter how much you rest, you're not going to feel like you've got any increase in energy, so you're constantly fatigued. It can get worse, but as a baseline, you have extreme exhaustion. And tip number 2 is called PEM, post-exertion malaise, and that's essentially the worsening of symptoms following physical or mental exertion, this is quite incredible. So I remember just having a conversation with someone when I was kind of getting better and I could talk. Just having a conversation with someone would knock me out for 5 days. It would be absolutely like I'd run a marathon. So typically symptoms can worse for sort of 12 to 48 hours after activity, but it can last even days or weeks, and that's PEM. Number 3 is unrefreshing sleep. So despite sleeping all the time or significant rest, never feeling never feeling like you've really got to that deep sleep state. So you wake up and you feel tired as if you haven't slept at all. Number 4, cognitive impairments. So this includes problems like short-term memory loss, concentration, and processing of information. So kind of to bring that to a good example would be the inability to read and retain information. So looking at the words, saying the words, not being able to take them in, spending what felt like an hour, but probably 15 minutes going over a sentence and not being able to retain that information or understand it. Another thing would be, for me, it was a real oddity that the words on the page would actually disappear. So I would be looking at a book and then an entire word would disappear. I could shut the book, look at the book again and put my finger over it, and literally the word in itself had disappeared and I could see the book, the page beneath it. So that was really, really odd. Orthostatic intolerance. So this is symptoms worsening upon standing or improve when lying down. So lightheadedness, fainting, or increased fatigue. So I had that a huge amount, and actually that lasted for a long time. So even after that, being very sensitive to movement and the body changes. And I've kind of always had low blood pressure. So imagine if someone's got low blood pressure, always feeling slightly faint, and if you do anything sudden, that you can have that kind of disturbance in your blood pressure. But really with ME making a significant difference just even from slight sort of movements. Then on the physical side, muscle pain. That was incredibly painful, absolute aches and pains. If you imagine when you're suffering from flu and you're racked with pain and everything is tender and you're aching and your joints hurt and they feel like they're cracking and they're throbbing, and you're sensitive to touch as if your skin is raw. Joint pain without any redness or swelling, and lots of different joints and lots of different issues like that. Headaches, severe headaches, headaches that you haven't, if you've not been somebody that's had headaches before or migraines, then having those. Tender lymph nodes, so particularly around the sort of the neck and the armpits. Sore throat, recurrent or chronic sore throat without an infection. Irritable bowel syndrome, abdominal pain, bloating, gas, diarrhea and constipation. I had a huge disconnect in my sort of my bowel and my stomach, where everything was just so difficult, and constant cramps and pain, that kind of aching that you have after sort of having food poisoning, nausea and gastrointestinal sort of issues, upset stomach, sensitivity to food, odors, chemicals, medications. So I had huge reactions to any sort of medicine that was trying to support my disease. At the time, nobody really understood it, so they were trying a few things, and everything was just exaggerated. My body would just freak out. And I would have no tolerance for anything. So in the end, obviously, you have a couple of tries and you think, no, I'm not having any sort of medication, and I would only try then alternative therapies. I did have at the time a BCG and had a reaction to that vaccine. I did have, and this was on the sort of stepping stones down, or the stairs down to getting really unwell. I had an antihistamine that's no longer on the market. But I had a huge reaction to that antihistamine. I couldn't speak, read or write from that day onwards. So I pretty much became a zombie overnight after taking that medicine. Temperature regulation issues, feeling too hot, too cold, sweating, or poor tolerance to extreme temperatures, let alone extreme. I was freezing cold in the summer, sitting outside. My mum used to try and force me outside to get some sunlight. It would be summer, and I would have a coat and lots of layers on and sit on a duvet, have a duvet on top of me on sort of a pillowed bed outside, and I would still be freezing. Immune system issues, so frequent or recurrent infections, taking longer than usual to recover from the common illnesses. Then the neurological and psychological symptoms, so difficulty with balance and dizziness, including vertigo or feeling unsteady on your feet, sensitivity to light and noise, leading to need to wear sunglasses indoors, or the use of earplugs in environments that are too noisy. I remember if I was ever in the car when my dad filled up with petrol, the petrol smell was the most intensely strong smell that would make me feel like I was going to faint from the smell itself. And then also sort of light felt like a noise. Emotional, rapid and sort of exaggerated changes in mood, depression and anxiety, almost as well as completely as a secondary symptom, but it's not from the disease, it's from being bedridden, it's from being unhealthy, being in this chronic, never-ending prison of disease. It's very understandable for anybody who's suffering with that level of isolation and relentless ill health to feel anxiety that it's not going to improve, and to feel depressed. Sleep disorders, insomnia or hypersomnia. And then other symptoms like visual disturbances, including sensitivity to light. So for me, obviously, I had a lot of things that would disappear out of my sort of eyesight, eyes feeling blurred, getting eye pain and stabbing pains in my eyes. Alcohol intolerance, inability to consume alcohol without feeling extremely ill. I never tried that because I was too young. Irregular heartbeat, feeling like your heart is skipping a beat, racing or pounding, so like palpitations. Breathing difficulties, shortness of breath with little or no exertion, tingling, burning or numbness in your hands and feet, flu-like symptoms, feeling like you're constantly battling a virus, weight changes, whether it's weight gain or weight loss, and hair loss more than usual in the shower or on your pillow or on your hairbrush. So those are a whole host of symptoms that if somebody's suffering from ME, myalgic encephalomyelitis, or chronic fatigue syndrome, Those are the heavy symptoms that someone's trying to battle, and dependent on where they are in that journey, or if they're very earlier on, whether they're recovering, whether they've managed to find a sort of a level that they're plateauing at, and then they can start to tweak and detox and push themselves out a little bit. It depends where they are and depends how severe the ME is, but it can be as severe as somebody that's even worse than what I had it, where they were in bed and had to be tilted for movement. So it's not something to, it's not something to be laughed at. And recently, I'll have to pull it out. There is some data that's just come out that really explores the science and the medical sort of understanding now today, and the markers that are displayed in somebody who's got ME. So it's really clear it is an illness, and many years ago it was seen more as a psychological illness or faking, but for a few years now, thankfully, that's been ruled out. So that hopefully is a comprehensive list of all of the symptoms. And I hope if any of you are suffering from ME that you can find hope, that you can move through it. You have to love and be kind to yourself. Don't push yourself too much. Don't feel too overwhelmed. Just try and find, first of all, a plateau where you can rest and recover, and then with help put a plan together to detoxify your physical body, and then detoxify your mental well-being, and really create a roadmap out of this suffering. Okay, thank you.